All right. Right now, we'll talk about security and the steps being taken by the Nigerian government, to make sure the Nigerian people are safe, across the regions of the nation. And especially, there are those spaces that are called ungoverned spaces. Of course, Nigeria has a vast mass of land that are quite just there. And maybe some have abused these to be camping ground, recruiting ground, breeding ground for these criminal elements, be it bandits, insurgents, terrorists, and whatnot. And so it seems when we make some progress in some spaces, they run to another place to regroup it because those spaces, are just largely ungoverned. One might want to find it quite unbelievable that there are spaces that are called ungoverned spaces. And the Nigerian government has unveiled plans to commission retired military officers to help secure Nigeria's vast ungoverned spaces, including forests, as part of efforts to combat insecurity and promote economic development. The initiative was announced following the inauguration of an 18-member committee by the Minister of Defense, General Christopher Musa, retired on Tuesday at the Ministry of Defense headquarters in Abuja. The minister was represented by the Permanent Secretary, Mr. Richard Filinga. Statement issued on Wednesday by the ministry's Deputy Director of Information, Adeline Chukwu, on behalf of the Director of Information and Public Relations, detailed the committee's focus. Let me quote it: reclaiming ungoverned spaces for economic viability and the repositioning of the Nigerian Legion Corps of commissionaries and veterans. And the committee's three key terms of references are: number one, to reposition the veteran community to support national economic development; to deploy veterans to secure ungoverned spaces, bringing them under effective oversight and fostering development; and three, to reposition the Nigerian Legion Corps of commissionaries, strengthening its operational effectiveness, facilitate veterans' reintegration, and promote their contributions to national security. So one might say it's about rejuvenating, the Nigerian Legion Corps commissionaries. And another thing is the economic implication of this particular thing, to say they must be part of this push, and of course, the security dimension to that. But some will say, how can these be? Do they still have the energy? Talking about the veterans, many of them are old, like those we have on our screens right now. Some might be relatively old, and all of those things. Do they still have, health. The health, of course, and of course, the up-to-date skill to fight this kind of asymmetric war, as they say, because this is not 67, 70, 80s, or 90s. This is 2026, and all of those things. And would they even be encouraged to do all of that? Will it be compulsory? Will it be voluntary? We look into all of these as time will permit us today. And who do we speak with than somebody that has seen it to, virtually the highest level, talking about the Nigerian military and information management. We are talking about General Christopher Olukolade, former Director of Defense Information for Nigeria. General, good morning, Monsa. Oh, all right. So we'll try and reconnect General Olukolade because it's important that we talk about these and many talking points there. 3 legs. General, good morning, sir.
Good morning. How are you today?
Morning, sir. Very well. Hope you can hear us clearly.
Very clearly, except that there's occasional breaks.
Okay, I will just try
coming from, but let's go.
Make a recap. And I'm sure you've seen the story. And the federal government said there are 3 key terms of references as far as this initiative is concerned: to reposition the veteran community to support national economic development; 2, to deploy veterans to secure ungoverned spaces, bringing them under effective oversight and fostering development; and of course, to reposition the Nigerian Legion Corps of commissionaries and its operational effectiveness and whatnot. So many questions will arise to say, these veterans, do they have the health to do all of this? Some of them are old, some of them are frail, some of them are still be strong, Number two, do they have the necessary current up-to-date skill to fight these asymmetric war? You know, because it's not the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. This is 2025. And another thing is this: will it be compulsory? Will it be voluntary? We just need your assessment on these initiatives, General.
Well, thank you for having me this morning. And the topic you have brought up is topical and current, and definitely provoking a lot of interest. And listening to even your comments, I think the concerns are genuine and valid, and there are things that should bother our patriots to see how this can work out. You will see that since our insecurities problem started, there have been diverse kinds of proposals and solutions being proffered. This is one of them. And our concern now will be, how will it work? Just as we are concerned, those of us who are equally veterans outside observing are wondering, well, that's why the committee has been set up. Let's see what they come up with. But personally, I am thinking that what they may need is to revisit the reserve system. If they can revisit there's a reserve system which is covered by law. That system enables retirees to still be available for national service with different kinds of, very clear terms of involvement. Maybe that's what needs to be revisited by this committee and see how it could be activated to address this problem that is the concern of every Nigerian. So people will continue to wonder how it will work out. But I think the reserve system can take care of it. And there are some content in that document which I know could be very useful in addressing this problem.
The reserve system that you talk about, what is it about really, and where is that practiced?
All right, thank you. Before I became the Director of Defense Information, that was my schedule, the Defense Headquarters. It's called the reserves. The reserve system, makes a provision for those who are retiring from service to be put under a system that they can be recalled when there are emergencies. And they will still be available to do some military callings to the limit of their training and energy. The Americans have that system, very active, very active system. It's called reserve. That's what our own looks like in Nigeria, but I don't know how it is being used now. It is meant to allow those who are retiring at a particular age. You are assumed to be on active reserve list. That is within the years of your retirement. For instance, it could be put as saying, if you are within the next 3 years of your retirement, you can be called back to address national emergencies. Apart from that, there are different categories depending on the terms of your retirement. And with that, it enables the system to draft you back or invite you back to come and make contributions, in line with established procedures. That's what we mean by the reserve system.
All right, General, is that reserve system the same as the Nigerian Legion Corps of Commissioners?
The Nigerian Legion Corps of Commissioners is more of a group of retirees who are being available to still refer to their heritage of military service. Sometimes, they've been, in order to keep them busy or, maybe meet their needs in previous times, different things have been put in place, but it's more of a voluntary organization.
All right.
It's not actually the reserve. It's not the major thing in the reserve system.
All right. Are the veterans or retired veterans now? Are they obliged, to be conscripted into this reserve list, or is it everyone who, is willing to be in the reserve list, or some just retire and that's it?
Like I said, the reserve list will include almost compulsorily. In fact, let me say compulsorily, everyone who retires within they can stipulate the years. Within the next 3 or 4 years, you are on the active reserve list. Whatever reason, you could be called back to come and do military duties, but that will be by invitation. Like I said, the American system has a very active reserve list, which even includes people who love the military work but cannot be enrolled either for age or whatever, and then they could be given occasional training. They are made available for a period of service. And the reserve system is as good as the active service. So that even people could be on, somebody can say, I'm a doctor. Somebody can say he's a lawyer and he loves the military work. He can enroll in the reserve system and be trained to give military service on mobilization. They could be mobilized and called to act or to work. But for those who have been in military service, being on the reserve list is virtually compulsory within the next stipulated number of years. You could be said, for the next 3 years, you are on retirement. Yes, you are retired, you can go home, but you're on the reserve list. We can call you back for a military duty. All
right. This particular excerpt from the Punch newspaper's report, it says here, according to the minister, the initiative reflects a strategic shift from an over-reliance on military offensives to a more inclusive and sustainable approach to security that tackles the socio-economic drivers of insecurity. Now, my question is, this call now to the Nigerian Legion of Commissioners and Veterans, right here, is it, first off, is it all of these veterans that would be willing, to come back to take up this assignment? Then two, it's seeming like it's not going to be an offensive approach, with the veterans, or can you enlighten us? Is it going to be, just dialogue? It's not going to be about combat, really?
Well, these are part of the modalities that the committee being set up is expected to work out. Clearly, it's not every retiree who can be strong enough or even have the capacity to engage in some elements of military duties. If what they are required to do in the so-called ungoverned spaces has to do with their military duties, not all of them can really be available either for health reasons, for age reasons, or even currency. The military system is evolving daily, and not all who have retired long ago can actually fit into the current system. So all of those ones should be considered in working out this arrangement. And in any case, it is somehow already in practice in diverse ways, in terms of mainly provision of intelligence, information that can be processed into intelligence. Definitely every reserve, every retired person or veteran, by virtue of training and patriotism, know that you should make intelligence available to those in service. And many of them are in communities, and they have the opportunity to move around. Maybe that's why this idea has been considered, to kind of formalize or put in place a structure that can facilitate this level of contribution from retirees. But definitely it has to be worked out some modalities that will take into cognizance both their competence and capacity after retirement.
All right. Part of that statement from the committee, and by the way, the committee draws members from the Joint Services Department of the Ministry, the Nigerian Legion, Defense Headquarters, the Defense Intelligence Agency, the Nigerian Army, Navy, and Air Force, as well as offices of the Ministers of Defense and State for Defense. So people from these agencies, institutions, ministries are the ones who are made of this particular committee. And part of their statement is that the deliberate integration of veterans into security and development initiative will enhance local ownership, improve intelligence gathering, and foster trust between communities and the state. Now we are talking about ungoverned spaces. General, two questions from there. When we talk about ungoverned spaces, what exactly does that mean in military and defense terms? That's number one. Number two, and as many, like how much of a challenge is that at the time? I mean, at this time, what exactly does that mean in your term as a military man, and how much of a problem or how much of a challenge is that? That's number one. And number two, there are some that will say instead of getting relatively old people that should be enjoying after service, why not engage able-bodied, fresh, young men and women instead of quote unquote disturbing those that should be enjoying the rest of their life after being lucky to have escaped the battle lines? They are still being drawn back. So those two questions.
Well, by ungoverned spaces, we mean those vast land or mostly forests or places outside of where people live and conduct their daily activities, even including farming. Those places that are hardly available for human activities, and they are so vast in terms of size that they hardly get attention. These are the places referred to as ungoverned for the fact that no regular activity is ongoing in those places, and they are the ones that the criminals and terrorists have, converted into their own haven for both training and illegal activities. And it takes time to access them because normal infrastructures for human activities and governance are not available in those places. They are all over the place, all over Nigeria. But in reality, they belong to certain communities, certain local government and states. The fact is the non-availability of regular human activities. This could be the reason they are referred to as ungoverned. But in reality, there's no space that does not belong to an element of the national structure. Now, for those, I think I share your concerns about having to disturb people should be in retirement means rest anyway. But I think the area they may be needed most, like I mentioned earlier, in terms of contribution of intelligence and training, or impartation of training on younger generation. Intelligence would mean that most of them live in these communities and they have an idea that can be readily made available to those in active service. Those are areas that I think should be explored.
So you mean most likely those veterans might be deployed in the same area that they are, not really like the regular transfers from north to east and east to west and all of those things?
I think that's what is meant to be exploited. The fact that many of them are in communities where by virtue of upbringing and interaction since retirement, they now understand and they can interpret certain actions that have security implications that could be useful for intelligence. These could be the areas they will be involved. And also in the area of know-how and training. There's some training that needs to be imparted in younger generations, which they may be better placed to do. And of course, I believe that most of that is even already going on. Maybe not in very formalized or established process. That could be areas to consider putting them. But all of this must take notice of people who are already fragile, people who, in reality, they need their rest, like you mentioned. This may mean some volunteerism, and in taking services from them, not by compulsion. Retirement itself means go and rest, you've done enough.
Yeah. And, how much of a problem are these ungoverned spaces in these insecurity battles we are in?
Like I mentioned, they are the havens, the place that the terrorists or the criminals have made their own haven, which they use for training, which they use for detention, which they use to plan the activities, and then come either to town or nearby places and carry out whatever they plan. And like I said, being a very vast land, it's available for them to train and plan without being discovered or noticed. So the new interest now should be on how to not only discover them, but to ensure that no new ones are established. And then under the guise of saying they are ungoverned, and some people come and settle there, some of them even take their families there, very deep into forests, and they are living there. They've turned it to their own community, and they are using it to plan every form of nefarious activities, whether in the form of kidnapping, robbery, and come to carry it out, and even keep their own captives and detainees, where they are carrying out illegal activities under their own arrangement without being subject to the normal laws that govern society. Right.
All right, General. Some of these veterans right now, after listening or hearing, this report, after reading the report on this about them having to come back, what do you think will be running through their minds? What are some of the questions you think, or some of the answers you feel that they would be looking forward to get from the committee, as part of some of their own concerns at this time?
Like I said, definitely there will be some element of volunteerism in it. And why I explained the issue of the reserve system initially is that even the reserve system can make input into this. The reserve system also makes some obligations, but to a certain period of your retirement. That could be factored into this. And but definitely there's no way to not factor the element of volunteerism, or definitely you cannot compare somebody who has done his bit. And it's not I don't think it's meant to be a conscript, producing a conscript system where you conscript people. You do that in war, and that will be for younger people who could be used to fight. But in this instance, I think it's also meant to make provision for some who are really in it. Let me tell you, like you mentioned, there are some who will jump at this, either for patriotic reasons or for want of something to do. But the element of volunteerism will be there.
Now, before we allow you go in the next few minutes, we won't have you here without talking about, the recent or statement given by the Defense Headquarters about, the prosecution of some military officers for what they have termed an attempt to overthrow the Nigerian government. I remember, General, we had you here last year, towards the end of last year, when that news was arrived, that there was a coup attempt on the Nigerian state by some officers. And I remember asking you that time, and what you said at the time is you couldn't confirm or deny, but that coups can never be hidden, either as an attempt or a successful one. That time will tell. I remember that was your response at the time. And it seems maybe time is telling right now, because many persons at the time said, this happened. Now we are grateful. Nigerians will say we are grateful that the military have not been able to topple, this particular democracy. But let us know the truth. But the federal government denied through the presidency. The military said nothing of that happened. Whatever arrest was made in line of disciplinary and extant rules in the military. Just 2 or 3 months after, the same military, the same defense headquarters said, yes, there was an attempt to overthrow the Nigerian government by some officers. And I just would say, why are they lying? Do you call this not being sincere, or is still information management, or is still national security? And what does this portend for trust between the Nigerian people and the government, in this case, the military?
Well, having been in their shoes, I can understand the their plight and the situation, and unfortunately, quite often it will be misinterpreted. Issues such as coups, mutiny, desertion, treason are very serious issues in the military, and you don't bundle those terms around anyhow. To be accused of it alone is enough to deny you your career. I hope you are following me.
Yes.
Now, once somebody is merely at the level of suspicion, be an apology.
Well, General, that wasn't what happened at the time.
I think it's going too far.
It was an outright denial.
People who manage information.
If you can hear me, that wasn't what they did. Not like they told Nigerians to say, hold on, we're investigating. No.
They denied the allegation of coup, but went ahead to say that these officers, that have been fingered in this, are being investigated or based on indisciplinary issues, service. Yeah. Yes. That was what was given. So on the coup part, that was denied outrightly. Having to have said at the time that, this rumor that you've heard, we cannot confirm, but it was just denied. So people were saying, now that you can confirm it to us, after the initial denial, should there be an apology now? Or things should just be, read as investigations?
Oh my goodness. I think I've lost you. But at that level, I've lost you. I lost you actually completely, but I'll try to respond to the one I had initially.
Please. Okay. Yes, please.
Can I go on?
Yes, please.
Go ahead.
We'll take it as your parting shot.
Yeah. I think quite often in the media we want to put words in people's mouths. And what people wanted them to say at that time was to say, oh yes, there is a coup.
Okay.
I've told you the implication of coup. The explanation given at that time, so that we see it as misdemeanor, that whether this is a coup or not. They may not go that to say that more.
All right. I guess that's much that.
But I think that's the implication of the statement they made.
All right. We want to say,
remember, like you mentioned earlier. I told you that at the end of.
I guess this much that we'll be able to take. It's been quite challenging towards the later part of this conversation, but we must sincerely thank you, especially for your take on the plan by the federal government to draft, patriots and veterans in this ongoing battle on insecurity, and of course the sort of admittance of the military that yes, indeed, an attempt on the Nigerian state was made, but then it is what it is. We'll keep abreast of the information. There are people abreast of the information. General Chris Olukolade, retired former director of information in Nigeria, defense information rather. We take a quick break right now. When we return, we speak to other issues. Stay with us.